All right, welcome back to the channel. So Terence Crawford versus Mikey Garcia is back on the table. Specifically, Mike Tyson tells Mikey that Crawford is the best move for his career. Man, Mike Tyson is something else, man. And I don't mean something else in a good way. Dude is really starting to get on my nerves. But let's talk about those subjects in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. So, two interviews that I saw today sparked my interest again and made me understand and realize that this Terence Crawford versus Mikey Garcia is still a fight that's on the table that a lot of people want to see. Specifically, two people talked about fights that took place between them. One was Mike Tyson, and the other one was Robert Garcia, the trainer and brother of Mikey Garcia. So, Mike Tyson is asked who he thinks is, what fights he wants to see. And so he says, one great fight that I would like to see is Terence Crawford versus Mikey Garcia. And he thinks it would be a great fight. And he was like, it'd be a terrific fight. Love to see it. And how much he wishes that he could advise Mikey Garcia in what to do in his career. So at first I was like, okay, Mike. Okay. That is a great fight. Without a doubt. That is a great fight. Mikey Garcia versus Terence Crawford. Mikey Garcia is an excellent fighter. No doubt about it. He's got one loss to Errol Spence Jr. It was a washout loss, but other than that, Mikey Garcia has done nothing but shown and prove in his entire career. He is a top-notch, excellent fighter, without a doubt. And there is a possibility that because he has been now I think this would be his third fight in the welterweight division, that now he would be acclimated to the weight. He's been training at the weight for a couple years now. So he should be, there's an argument that he would be ready to go and be a better fighter at 147 now than when he made that jump and just jumped right up into the division against Errol Spence Jr. Right, so there's that argument. And again, like I said, I think he's a terrific fighter. Definitely has got one of the best jab right hands in the business. Sets him up beautifully. Has an absolutely amazing timing. Right, terrific fighter. And I do believe a fight between he and Terence Crawford would be a great fight. It would be a great technical matchup. It's one of the better fights that can be made for Terence Crawford in that division. And one of the reasons that I believe that is the case is, aside from the styles of their fight, but also their similar size. I do believe Mikey started at 130, or he might even started at 126, but I think he was really shrinking down to that. But he pretty much went from 130 to 135, so up to 147. He is somebody like Terence Crawford that has moved up several weight classes to get to welterweight. So the size disadvantage would not necessarily be as big as it is for Mikey and Errol Spence, or Mikey and somebody like a Sean Porter, somebody like that. At least that's what my eyes tell me, and that's what their boxing records and the weights that they fought at tell me. So very good fight in that regard. But here's the thing with Mike Tyson, and we'll talk about what Robert Garcia said in a second, because his was illustrative as well. But the thing, I got to make a point here about Mike Tyson. Mike Tyson always finds a way to root for people outside of his own boxing community. That it is just something that happens in American boxing, and honestly, just in our American culture, period, with blacks in American culture. It's like when you're haggard to a certain point, right? You just accept that I just don't want to fight no more, right? I don't want the headaches anymore. I want an easy life. I want a smooth life. I'm going to say the things that people want me to say. I'm going to do the same things that people want me to do. That is what you call being civilized, right? Some people would use something a little bit more extreme and say buck broken, right? But if Mike Tyson does not fit that character, I don't know who does, man. His change in personality from when he was coming out of jail and when he was talking, like in the early 1990s and in the mid 1990s, and what he was, the things that he talked about, just now it just seems like it's a completely different guy, man. Right? And I understand what that is. It's the pressure of life, man. Mike Tyson he's been to jail, been in and out of jail, had money problems, right? Had all kind of difficulties. overcame them, right? But how did he overcome them? He overcomes them in the business world now by associating himself with big partners for his, his farms, his green farms, right? The people that backed him for his one-man show, right? The people that, they got behind him and, put him on Triller and got him, the big pay-per-view and this, those type of people, the people that got him from where he is into now where he really is in a position to make hundreds of millions of dollars. That is where Mike Tyson is. So it just doesn't miss me that he and guys like Sugar Ray Leonard, who are these legendary fighters, American fighters, sound like they're cheering for the other guy off the rip, right? So when Mike Tyson says that, he thinks that Mikey Garcia and Terence Crawford is a great fight, right? And how, that would be a great fight. Yeah, I'm 100% with him. But then he bounces off to, and I wish I could be advising Mikey through the rest of his career. Like, why don't you want to advise Terence? Terence is the one with more accolades. Why wouldn't you say that you really wish that you could advise Terence through his career, right? That thing right there, it just hits me. And it's similar to what Sugar Ray Leonard said when Sugar Ray Leonard was like, before the Errol Spence fight with Mikey Garcia. And Sugar Ray Leonard said, well, he asked Sugar Ray, who do you think is going to win? And Sugar Ray Leonard says something that is just ridiculous for somebody like Sugar Ray Leonard to say, right? Sugar Ray Leonard, who is a very articulate man, a highly intelligent man, a Olympic gold medalist, a multiple-time world champion, right? A guy who is steeped in boxing knowledge without a doubt, to answer the question, who do you think is winning the fight? For him to say, Mikey. And then he say, well, why do you think he's going to win it? Well, he's Mikey. Yeah, I know he's Mikey, Ray, but why do you think he's going to win the fight? The answer, and as far as I can see, is go look at who's asking him the question, right? Who asked Mike Tyson the question? What did he look like? What organization was he from? And is Mike Tyson giving him the answer that he wants to hear so that he can ingratiate himself with those fans and not cause himself any type of problem? Same thing for Sugar Ray Leonard. It is always safe to pick the non-black fighter and root for the non-black fighter, because then you don't have to worry about a bunch of trolls and people jumping on you, calling you racist because you believe a person from your neighborhood or your community will win a fight over somebody from their community. It's only people in our community that get that held over their head and then actually fall victim to it. You know what I mean? So I really, really was not feeling that. However, Robert Garcia and the actual fight being made, I like, because Robert Garcia made an excellent point. He was in a video by ES News. It said, I think the title was something like, what did Crawford tell you after the Ortiz fight? And they were talking about their camps, Bomac's camp versus Robert Garcia's camp, and how they were 2-2, right? And Robert Garcia was like, no, Bomac, you're 0-2 against me. And then Terence said, oh, but I beat Mikey. I've already beaten Mikey. And Robert was like, come on, man, you can't bring in the amateur. He's like, you can't bring in the amateurs. That doesn't count. All kind of different things happen from the amateurs. No, man, we're only counting the pros. So for me, that was just something funny for Terence Crawford to say. Like, people ain't really counting the amateurs, But if in that case, if you are counting the amateurs, then you owe Ray Robinson a fight. Right? I'm saying you owe Ray Robinson a fight. You owe Mikey Garcia a fight. Let's do it in the pros. But anyway, I like the fight between Mikey Garcia and Terence Crawford. Like it a lot. Hope the fight happens. The biggest problem with that fight is that Bob Arum already said who's going to pay for it. Well, hopefully there's somebody out there with the money that can pay for that fight and can beat Bob Arum in a purse bid, because obviously that is something that is very realistic now. I've seen Matchroom and Top Rank get beat up in dang near every purse bid that they've had. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think. And with that, I'm out. Peace.